apologize for not posting for so long because I know that it's been a long time. I was moving and I'm going into my senior year of high school, so I have a lot to figure out college-wise and everything along those lines, and I just want to apologize for not posting, but I will be consistently posting every week now. I'm ready to start making videos again, and I'm ready to be consistent with it because I know I said that the first time, but I mean it this time. Without any further ado, let's get back into today's topic, which is my top 10 NBA power rankings so far this season, 30 games into the season. So let's start with number 10, the Denver Nuggets. I just really think that they've had a disappointing season. Like after last season, a lot of people expected more. A lot of people expected that things were going to improve this year, even though they were one of the teams that didn't make many roster changes during the offseason. But it just seems nearly every player on the team has regressed. Jokic just looks bad. He looks out of shape. I mean, he's practically putting up the same numbers as Bam Adebayo right now, and he's just been disappointing. The team has a lot of scoring options in Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and even Jokic at times when he has it going. But they're they're 23rd in points per game. Their team should be a top 10, maybe even top 5 offensive team when they're at their best and when they were playing like they were last season. I think they really just need to firm up, what type of team they are. I think that their identity is still lost. They don't, even though they are a very good defensive team, it's just that can't be your only role. You have to have some type of consistent offense, and I'm just not seeing that. And number 9, I have the Houston Rockets. It just still really feels like a one-man show. I know that Russell is having a good season, but I just think, you look at the numbers that James Harden's putting up, and it's near what Wilt was doing, the amount of points he's scoring. It's absolutely absurd. He's on pace to break Curry's three-point record, and I mean, the team is second in points per game, but, Harden just feels like they're really only consistent offense. And while he is consistently getting them that offense, that's just not the type of offense that you can win a championship with. It hasn't been for the past couple of years, but I guess they still haven't realized that. I mean, when you look at it, they're 25th in assists per game, even with Russell Westbrook and James Harden, who are both great facilitators. There's just too much, selfishness going on within the organization, and that's why I still think that they just won't be a postseason threat. They can probably make it to the second round. They're losing to the Lakers or Clippers and possibly even Nuggets, like I mentioned before, if they, start playing like they did last season. At number 8, I'm going to have the Toronto Raptors. Pascal Siakam just looks like an all-star starter at this point. The team has also looked very well. They look like and remind me of the Celtics team led by Isaiah Thomas, because even though I would personally call Siakam a superstar at this point, some may not. Going off that, they wouldn't have one true star player, but their team is playing very well together. They are second in defensive rating. They're fourth in steals. They're a very, tough and gritty team. Seventh in plus minus in clutch time. And also, they're a good shooting team. They're just pretty much good from all assets of the floor. They're, I'm pretty sure, fourth in three-point percentage in the league, which is great with the amount of threes that they're shooting. While I still don't really think Toronto is a contender, losing Kawhi Leonard, I think that's it's obviously what pushed them over the edge last season. Even with the emergence of Pascal Siakam, I just don't think it'll be enough to even get them out of the East, let alone win a championship. At number 7, I have the Miami Heat. They are much better than I thought they would be this season, but I still just don't really take them seriously. I'm not 100% sure why I don't really take them seriously. I just think it's because outside of Jimmy Butler, they don't really have any star power. And, well, it's not like the NBA is as it was with the Warriors when they had, 4 All-Stars on the court at one time. You don't need to have that much star power to win at this point. But when you have teams like Boston with, Kemba, both Jalen and Gordon, you have Philly with, Embiid and Simmons, and, Josh Richardson and Tobias Harris have been playing great this season as well. And, you have the Bucks, obviously, with Giannis, which is, I think, more talent than probably all the Heat players combined. I just don't think that Miami really has that factor to actually be a playoff contender. Sixth team is the Dallas Mavericks. I think that's really all you need to say is just Luka Doncic. I mean, what he's doing this season is just unheard of. He puts up Harden-like scoring nights every other night. Now be number one in offensive rating without any threats outside of himself and Porzingis. They're third in points per game. He's been great rebounding, which I think is a big reason why they're third in rebounds as well. They've been shooting their 3-pointers at a very high clip. The Mavericks just look like a good team because of Luka. And I don't think it's a situation like in Milwaukee where you're only getting production from one player like Giannis. I think it's more of a LeBron type situation because Luka reminds me a lot of LeBron, and he's just making his teammates better. Playing on the court with him, you can just tell the players have a better feel for the game because they know that if they need to, he can get them some points, but they also know that he's actively looking to get them a bucket as well. And while Kristaps has been pretty disappointing this season, Luka has, well made up for the both of them. He's surpassed, I think, anyone's expectations, even his biggest fans. I mean, he's just been an absolute tear. He's averaging practically a 30-point triple-double right now. I do think that he will finish the season top 3 in MVP voting, and the only reason he won't win is probably because of the success that come out of the Lakers or the Bucks, whether it be Giannis or LeBron. At number 5, I have the Celtics. It's just, during some stretches of the season, the Celtics, they look scary. They look like a team that could possibly contend to win it all. But I think that they just really need to stay healthy. I think, again, injuries have plagued them with, Smart being out due to various reasons. Hayward, broke his hand and then came back and was in the concussion protocol, but I believe he's okay now. When they're healthy, they're a legitimate threat, and I think that's largely in part to the major improvements from both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I think Jason Tatum is more just coming into his role. He knows the type of player he is, and he knows that with Kyrie not at the helm and with someone like Kemba who's a great facilitator and is always looking to get his teammates another shot. Jason knows that this is his time. This is his time to score. This is his time to make people realize who he is. And I think he's starting to do that. His field goal percentage is still very questionable. That's largely in part to the mid-range shots. And while he hasn't been taking as many of them, he is still taking them, and he's not making all of them, and also he just hasn't really been able to finish at the rim consistently. I think that that'll just come with time and effort and practice, and so he doesn't even have to be taking more shots. If he just starts hitting 3 more shots per game, instead of going 7 for 20, if he shoots an even 50%, his scoring could go near top 10 in the entire league without even taking any more shots. Who I'm honestly more impressed with is Jaylen Brown. I thought Jaylen was going to be good. I knew he was going to be good, but I thought where he's at now was more his ceiling. I always had faith in him, and I thought he'd be a good player, but the improvement he's showing now in his 4th year is much more than I could have expected. He's shooting 38% from 3 and taking a lot of them. He's shooting 50% overall. His free throw percentage could be worked on a bit, but he's tearing down boards. He's averaging 7 boards a game, a couple assists, but it's just really his adapted offensive game. He's a legitimate threat to score from any place on the court. He got bigger during the off season. He's a bigger body in the paint. He never misses in the paint. He's a great finisher. He's been shooting that little turnaround mid range shot that's been working for him. He's, making a lot of those. He's shooting a great clip from 3. His defense as well has been, really impressive. I just think his perimeter defense and the way he's able to just lock guys down, it reminds me a lot of Avery Bradley. People often pass as soon as, Jaylen comes up on them because he's always going 110%. And I think that's what really separates, Jaylen from a lot of the guys in the NBA in general. I mean, he's the vice president of the NBAPA. You have to be some type of person with work ethic and determination to be the vice president of the NBAPA at just 22 years old. I just think Jaylen's a very mature player, and a lot of people are saying Kawhi or Paul George 2.0, and I honestly wouldn't refute it. I mean, look, and he's putting up the same, if not better, numbers than those guys were at that point in their career, and he just looks like he's consistently improving. And over the course of the next couple of years, I feel like this is really going to become him and Jason's team. But I think to really push the Celtics over the hump to be a true contender would be to trade for a big man. Whether that be Nerlens Noel, Steven Adams, Davis Bertans, Hassan Whiteside. Let's see who else. Mitchell Robinson. The two guys I would probably prefer is a guy like Nerlens Noel or Mitchell Robinson. I just think that Nerlens, I think he's a good player. I think he, hasn't really got the opportunity to show what he can truly do. And I think in Boston he could, get that limelight and, really show that he, deserved to be, picked where he was in the draft, and he deserves to, be a starting center in the NBA. My personal favorite option is Mitchell Robinson. I think the Celtics have a lot of scoring options on the team, and I don't think that we necessarily need a big man who can shoot. Even if, Mitchell may be working that into his game, that'd just be gravy. In 22 minutes per game, he's averaging over 2 blocks and 10 points, and I believe near 10 rebounds as well. So as a starter, bumping those minutes up to 30 minutes per game, he could be making a lot of noise as a, rim protector in the NBA. And he's on a 4-year, $6.5 million contract. He could possibly be one of the biggest steals on the Celtics. It's meaningless when you're on the Knicks. The Knicks have no aspirations for the next, years. And if we could give them some picks and maybe, a young player or two, not necessarily a core player, but, maybe like a Romeo Langford or something like that, I think that that would be a great trade option. And I think that that could really push the Celtics over the edge to get out of the East. At number 4, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. I just think that they're a great defensive team, and their offense has actually surprised me quite a bit. I think that they have exceeded expectations. They've actually shot very well. I thought that that was going to be a major issue for them. They're actually top 10 in three-point percentage, and I thought that they would be, bottom 5. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Philly because I still kind of question, what they're going to do and what they're going to be come playoff time, because some of their players have questionable performances in the playoffs, so we'll see with them. Okay, so at number 3, I have the LA Clippers. I mean, there's not really much I need to say here. I think it's pretty obvious that the number 1 and 2 spots are filled by the Lakers and the Bucks. I would say that, the Clippers are, the solidified third best team in the NBA right now. I do think that the Bucks and the Lakers are superior teams. Come playoff time, I think that the Lakers and the Clippers will both be better than the Bucks. However, I've touched on this before with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George running your team. You're going to be fine. Those are 2 superstar, year in, year out MVP candidates, and having them both on the court at the same time, probably being the 2 best two-way players in the entire NBA, it's a match made in heaven. Even if they're not as overpowered as they were expected to be before the season, I think that that will change come playoff time, because, when you roll out with a lineup consisting of Pat Bev, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Montrezl Harrell, that's one of the best defensive lineups we've ever seen. They kill you on the boards. They're second in rebounding. With all the talented offensive and defensive players they have, I think that the Clippers are one of the only true contenders in the NBA. At number 2, I have the LA Lakers. LeBron and AD are probably the best duo that the NBA will and have ever seen, both averaging around 27 points a game. LeBron is number 1 in assists by a good margin. I think he's the only one that's over 10, and he's closer to 11. LeBron is my personal pick for MVP, as you guys know if you watch my previous videos, and I do think the Bucks are going to slow down a little bit, so I think that that's what will allow LeBron to win MVP. I don't know if the Bucks playing like they are now is truly attainable for an entire season. I think that they're just playing, better than every other team. I mean, they're winning like every game by like 30 points. It's insane. That's just something that you really aren't consistently going to do. If they do, I'll eat my words, and I would put them as probably the title favorite. But I just think that they're going to slow down, and I think that the Lakers are going to show that they are the best team in the NBA. When you have a guy like LeBron that just makes your players so much better, and then you put the best big man in the entire NBA and Anthony Davis next to him by his side, it's game over come playoff time. That duo is just going to be insane. I mean, we saw what LeBron can do by himself in the playoffs. We saw that it was in 2015 when he nearly won the series against the Warriors by himself. Kyrie and Kevin Love went down, averaging like a 40-point triple-double. If he has Anthony Davis, he doesn't need to do that, but he could do that. But he has Anthony Davis, which is the thing. I think it's really just game over for the rest of the NBA. People say that, there's no true favorite, like, it's really a toss-up, but I mean, when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the same team, with good, supporting cast and players who are exceeding their expectations, I think that they will win the championship. But as we're getting to now, the number one team is the Bucks. Giannis is still improving, and he's probably the best player in the NBA. He's worked on his three, and even though the percentage could still improve, he is shooting more and making more than he has before ever in his career. And it's just the Bucks are an absolute force. They were number one in offense and defense. Now they're just number one in defense and two in offense. They still have the number one net rating though. I think Eric Bledsoe has actually been a good addition for them this year, even though he's still putting up similar stats. Offensively, I think his defense has showed to be elite again, and I think that he and other Bucks players have been contributing. Last year, I feel like it was just completely the Giannis show, and this year it's kind of that situation again. Like, you don't really have a true second star. I think Middleton has regressed just a little bit. They're still obvious contenders. With Giannis alone, you'd be a contender. The good pieces they have around him, they can definitely compete with a team like the Lakers and the Clippers. I mean, obviously you can see that now. They're like, what, 25-4 or something like that. I do think that the Bucks are the best team right now, and they're playing like it. I don't think they're the true best team. I do think it's the Lakers. But I have to respect the way that they're playing now, and I have to respect what they're doing as a team, and I have to respect what their players are doing, because a lot of them are playing better than they would or should. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video. Again, as you guys know who have been here before, comment below on any future video ideas that you have for me. Still, I'm not a very popular channel. I'm still trying to work to get there. So your request will be granted. I will make a video within a week of your request. I plan on focusing a lot of attention to this. I mean, basketball is really just my life at this point, and it will be going into college, and I'm excited for what the future holds. So I hope you guys will stick around during that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.